Pappy Van Winkle is some of the most coveted bourbon in the world, but Weller is the same whiskey, technically speaking. We're going to talk about it and do a blind flight to see if we can prove these are the same or are they actually different.
Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Erin.
I'm Josh. Thanks for joining us for what is sure to be a very fun episode today.
We shall see.
If you're new here, we're a couple that sips whiskey blind, and we are single blind today. We know what's in this flight, but we don't know what pour is what bottle.
Correct.
And this is going to be a lot of fun because Stitzel Weller is some of the most revered and famous bourbon in the world of bourbon, of whiskey, period.
There you go.
Truthfully speaking. And it got its reputation because Pappy Van Winkle was kind of over putting out some really good wheated bourbon back in the day. But things change. Bourbon softened in the late 20th century, the late 1900s, as Erin likes to say.
What does softened mean?
Like the market wasn't as in demand.
Oh, so the bourbon market softened, not bourbon softened.
Right. So point being, like the distillery that was founded in 1935 that was kind of widely regarded as some of the best whiskey out there went under in the early 90s. And then it was purchased by...
In the 1900s?
In the 1900s.
Oh, man. And
then right around the turn of the century, 1999, Sazerac purchased the brand.
Good old Saz.
The rights to the brand and the stocks of the whiskey that Stitzel Weller had produced.
Okay.
So kind of after they got those products and started releasing things under the Weller line and the Pappy Van Winkle line, people were loving it because they were able to get the whiskey that from the companies that had gone out of business.
Oh, I'm just making the connection. Stitzel Weller.
Yeah.
Weller.
Right. So they got the rights.
My brain just exploded.
Sazerac got the rights to the brand, and they started putting the Stitzel Weller whiskey into bottles under the Weller line and Pappy Van Winkle line.
Okay.
However, those stocks of whiskey ran out pretty fast. Like within the next decade, most of those stocks.
So they've had to start making their own versions of those.
Right.
Oh.
So what is in Pappy Van Winkle bottles as well as Weller bottles, it's all the same recipe. It's Buffalo Trace's wheated mash bill. And the only difference in the Pappy line is that Pappy Van Winkle's grandson, Julian Van Winkle III, goes and hand selects barrels to be put into the Pappy line.
Okay.
So what we have in front of us today is a flight of all the 107 proof offerings from Buffalo Trace under the Weller line and the Pappy Van Winkle line.
Do we have two Weller, two Pappies, or what do we have?
Correct. So we have the Pappy Van Winkle 15-year, which is widely regarded as the best of the lineup. We have Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year, which is also 107 proof, and it's 10 years old, whereas Pappy 15 is 15. We have Weller Antique 107, which is not age stated, but reported to be around 7 to 8 years old as a blend. And then we have a Weller Antique 107 store pick single barrel. And a lot of people say that those single barrels from Weller, they go toe-to-toe or are better than Old Rip Van Winkle 10 and sometimes even Pappy 15. So we're going to put it to the test here. You're going to see what we're drinking as we're drinking it, but we don't know what's in each glass.
Yeah.
We're going to smell them, taste them, rank the flight, and we'll let you know what we think. Last thing before we get into this, I have to give a shout out to Taylor at Wolverine Boots because part of the impetus for this video was Wolverine boots, which I'm a big fan of.
And you have been for a long time.
Yes. They release every year, or periodically, they release a batch of Old Rip Van Winkle collaboration boots. And their batch 4 is coming out, or is out now.
Okay.
And I got a pair. They're awesome. I remember when I was 30 years old, I bought a pair of Wolverine 1,000 mile boots with the intention of having those boots when I became a senior citizen. It was like the first really nice piece of footwear.
I remember you telling me the story, yeah.
Yeah, and I love those boots, and you still
have them.
They're still going strong 11 years later. And now I've added to the collection with these right here, and look at these things.
These are the collab boots.
So it's got the gold text here. It's got the
hide our faces so they can read the
VW
text.
for Van Winkle.
Wait.
It's got the Old Rip.
That label's cool.
Here that matches the bottle. So very, very cool. You can see the label right there.
Can you
the boot.
Can you show the side? You only showed it for a second. What does the side say?
Wolverine 1,000 mile, but it's in gold. So this is the first release they've done with a round toe. They usually have like a cap toe or a mock toe or something. I like the rounded simple toe.
What is a mock toe?
A mock toe is like the ridge all the way around, like a moccasin.
Okay.
And these are the first ones they've ever released that have a wedge sole, and I love wedge soles. They're so comfortable. Everything else has been rubber lugged, which is great, but I really like the wedge sole. Those are also made with Seidel tannery leather, which is like awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Family owned out of Wisconsin.
Cool.
And Rose Anvil, which is an awesome YouTube channel. If you like quality footwear, he cuts shoes in half, and he's got a video on Seidel Distillery. Seidel Tannery talking about how it's the toughest leather in the world. So awesome boots. Check them out. Shout out to Taylor for finding our channel over at Wolverine and sending those boots our way. I'm in love with them. I'm so happy. We also, as we get into the first glass here and raise this glass A, have to thank Justin Williams for making this video possible, because the Pappy 15 and the Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year are his bottles. And he's right over here off screen doing this flight with us. So as we
not awkward at all having someone watch us film our videos.
We've got an in-studio audience. So let's get into glass A on the nose.
To me, this smells like candy corn and books.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm getting like, and a lot of these notes are be a little bit similar because we know what we're drinking. I know the kind of usual notes for these type of products. But to me, I'm getting like this cherry and green apple sweetness that is very pronounced, jumping out of the glass.
Interesting. This is like candy corn and like old paper.
I kind of feel you there. Yeah, I'm getting the oakiness on the nose is coming through with as like a faint oak. And then that candy corn note is coming through as just a lot of sugary sweetness to me.
Cool.
Let's get on the palate.
Bro. Okay. I like this.
Wow, yeah, that was like almost effervescent, like a carbonated beverage.
Yeah, it's kind of light. I think I might prefer something a little more heavy.
Yeah.
But this is good.
Well, I mean, Weeded Bourbon's calling card is that it is kind of light.
Oh, it is? Okay.
And,
in case you didn't know, I'm more of a social sipper. I don't really know these things, so please don't make fun of me in the comments.
But it doesn't have rye spice. It's got predominant corn. The second grain is rye, or is not rye. It's usually rye in bourbon, but the second grain in this is wheat.
Gotcha.
And wheat comes across softer.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I should just expect that all of these might be soft. Might be.
Maybe. I mean, they got 107 proof points behind them.
I'm just managing my expectations. That's all. Okay, cool.
I'm going to need another sip of glass A.
Okay.
Because you can never trust that first sip. So
I've already taken 2 sips, but I'll take a third.
Yeah, man, second sip in, I don't know how you feel third sip in, but second sip in for me, that got really syrupy sweet.
Okay.
Like a fruit syrup.
It didn't change flavor-wise for me, but it did get, the proof has built upon itself, so I'm feeling a little proofiness in the back of my throat.
I'm getting a lot more cherry on that second sip. Like it kind of leaned away from some of the brighter flavors I was getting, and I got a little bit more of the deep cherry. And the oak on that's very faint. It doesn't, I'm not trying to guess what any of these are, but it's not coming through with a ton of oak. Coming through pretty balanced and pretty nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
I agree.
Glass number 2 on the nose.
This smells more like what I want.
Yeah, this has a little bit more richness on the nose.
This has some depth to it. It smells similar. It actually smells kind of like caramel or caramel or caramel, however you say it.
Nobody says caramel.
I'm second guessing every time I say that word now.
Imagine you're in conversation with somebody
Caramel.
and they're like, oh yeah, I really like caramel.
Isn't that a place?
You would be like, what is wrong with you? No, caramel is a place. Caramel is the thing that you eat.
Oh, caramel.
That's the food.
Okay, I like caramel.
There's a second A there.
On the nose. I don't really like to eat caramel, though.
Letters matter. What are we, just living in a world with no rules anymore? Come on.
I don't know. I think we should drink the whiskey, though.
All right. Cheers.
Okay.
Huh.
It doesn't taste very sweet.
Yeah. Go ahead. Jinx, you got me a Coke.
God.
Be shit.
Okay, I'll go. It doesn't taste very sweet, but it tastes rich. It kind of almost gives me a syrupy flavor without the sweetness that syrup provides.
Well, what's interesting is that I thought glass 1 had kind of like this really nice balance of sweet, spice, like a slight spice thanks to the proof and the oak. The second glass is coming through a little flat for me.
Interesting. Okay.
It's like I'm not getting that spice from the proof.
Yeah.
I'm just getting a little sweetness, and then I'm getting the oak, and that's pretty much it. It's just kind of, it feels a little dull and lifeless, but I'm going to need another sip to speak more to it.
I'm not going to lie, this is painful for me to go this slowly through a flight. I am ready to move on.
Well, we will spend some time after we go through first and get everything ranked off camera, because it's very hard to rank things while a camera's looking you in the face. Aaron can actually do it just fine, but it takes me a long time to rank a flight. So
Yeah.
yeah, that second sip on glass B for me, it's feeling a little flat. But I will say the finish is nice.
I like Glass B better than Glass A if I'm like going on first impressions.
Okay. Yeah.
So far, Glass B is better than Glass A for me.
Well, first impressions to me, I'm leaning towards Glass A, so that'll be very interesting to see what those are at the end of this. But let's get into Glass C and see how it is.
Okay.
Let's see how C is.
I see what you did. I see what you did there.
Oh, I love this nose. This is the best nose out of the bunch for me.
This smells good too. Also, I know that every single one of these things that I'm smelling is a wheated bourbon, and I'm not getting that sour note that I normally get on wheaters, which we talked about this earlier. Maybe I'm getting more acclimated to wheated whiskeys. As far as maybe my palate is acclimating, whereas maybe 6 months ago, it was anything that was wheated kind of had a sour tinge to me. But now that I'm exposed to more of it more frequently, I think I'm immune to that sour note now.
You've built up a tolerance.
I have. I've leveled up.
Well, I will say, after smelling C, I just quickly nosed B and A, and they both smell kind of sour compared to C for me.
Okay.
C smells really rich on the nose, and it's putting me down the land. It's put me down the lane of like a confectionery, sugary, bakery type of vibe, and I'm really loving it.
So I just did that as well. I smelled B and A smells more sour to me now that I've smelled and tasted the other ones. That's weird.
All right. This smells really good. Smells rich. I don't know if you're getting anything else to comment on, but...
No, it smells good.
Let's get into the palate.
Okay.
Man, that's just incredibly pleasant.
Yeah.
Oh, the finish is kicking in now. Started talking too soon.
This is nice. I would drink this one a lot. I like this one.
It almost has like this...
Does Justin know what these are? Is he doing a blind taste?
He's blind as well.
Okay.
This almost has like a cherry cola thing going on, and I really like that.
Kind of, but it's not super heavy on like the cherry flavor. It's very light.
Well, everything's balanced. Like when you drink, it's like if you go and you get, so my guilty pleasure, if I go out somewhere and I want a cola, a soda, here in the South in Nashville, Tennessee, we say a Coke.
Yeah, because they're all Cokes, even if it's a
yeah.
Pepsi product.
And then
I'd like a Coke, please.
Right.
And then they say, we only have Pepsi, and then you're like, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll take a Pepsi for my Coke. But I love cherry Coke.
Yeah,
and this reminds me of that. But sometimes things that lean that way, it's almost like the fountain machine is broken.
The syrup ratio is too heavy on the syrup and less on the...
Yes,
yeah.
And I don't like it when it's that way. This is like... perfectly balanced.
I can agree with that. I definitely need to take more time with these. But first impression, each glass keeps getting better for me each time. So I can only assume D is going to be amazing.
Man, C is just, it's got that, it's exactly what I just said. It's like cherry cola, barrel, beautifulness. C's my front runner for sure.
Same.
Let's get into D and see how it compares. Where is it?
This smells very faint. Yeah.
where is there whiskey in this glass?
So this smells like the hair dye that my hairdresser puts on my hair. And I know this because I just got my roots touched up this morning, so.
I mean, put it down in the comments below if you got your roots touched up this morning.
I mean, when you're in your 40s, you're going gray. You got to get those roots touched up, man. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a lot here on the nose.
I don't think I'm a fan of this so far.
Cheers.
Let's drink it. Not for me. It's kind of, this is flat. If you were saying, I think you said B was kind of flat.
Yeah.
I think D is flat.
I was doing B a disservice by saying that because D is the very definition of flat.
Yeah.
Like after these first three, that almost is just like bourbon flavored water.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Let me give one more sip just to be sure. Let's give it its fair shake.
Yeah, nothing.
No, that's why you take the second sip, because I am getting something there.
Cool. I'm happy for you.
It's bright sweetness.
It is bright. I think that it is the brightest out of the bunch.
I agree.
A may be a close second in the brightness factor. Mm-hmm. But yeah, interesting. I definitely need more time with all these.
Yeah, it kind of has this sweet tart thing going on that A also had, but it just is lacking the spice and the richness that A had. So right now it seems like C might be our front runner, but you like B a lot as well, and A is good too. So
yeah, I think C might clinch the win, but we'll see. Need some more time.
We'll see. We're gonna clear our palates with some water. We're gonna go off camera. We're gonna rank this flight. The finish on D,
I will
sneaky lingering.
There's not a lot of flavor, but that finish lasts forever.
Yeah. As I was saying, we're going to clear our palates with some water, start with glass D, go back through the flight, and then do some A-B comparisons between the pours, get some rankings, and we'll be back with all of those in just a second. See you then. We're back, and we concur. You concur?
I concur.
We concur. We have the same ranking. We did talk about this off camera. It actually wasn't too difficult.
No, I was easy. It was easy.
Talk about it.
I was easy. I wasn't
Wow.
easy.
Okay.
Okay. The ranking was easy.
What did you think about the flight after spending some time with it? What was your experience?
So I enjoyed all of the pours. However, there's one pour that if offered to me, I would pass on just because it's not for me.
Interesting.
And that was D.
Okay.
So that was my last place.
D's also my last place.
Yeah.
Pretty thin and flat compared to the rest of the flight.
That's why, because I'd be like, I'd rather have something else than that. It's not bad. Didn't taste bad. I just didn't like it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And then did you have a clear first place?
So my first and second place, I did today. My first and second place, depending on the day, I feel like could flip-flop.
Okay.
Not because they were close, but because, close in flavor, but because one day I might prefer a different flavor than the other.
It's interesting you should say that because I had the same experience.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I will say, not to just jump into your thing, but
that's fine.
I had two that were kind of, D was last place kind of easily.
Yeah.
And we both have A in third place.
Yeah.
And that was pretty clear. B and C, it depends on my mood, I feel like. The beautiful thing about C, and the reason that it's in first place for me, is because it has sweet and oak, and everything is balanced in C. And I'm a sucker for that cherry cola.
Yeah. And I just felt like it had some depth to it without trying too hard, if that made sense. I don't know if that makes sense in whiskey.
It doesn't make sense at all.
It makes sense in people, but just equate that to whiskey.
Well, the reason that B, to me, got knocked down to second place was because it didn't have the sweetness that C had. It had the oak, but it didn't have the sweetness.
Not quite as sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And today I'm feeling that kind of balanced pour. There's times when I want a really oaky pour and I'll lean towards B.
I wouldn't call it really oaky. This is a balanced oak pour.
It's still really balanced.
Yeah.
And it did have the best finish. B had the best finish of the bunch, in my opinion. But C to me just had it was the total package.
Yeah.
So B's really good at one thing.
Yeah.
And C is kind of good at everything. So,
okay, so the official ranking is last place,
and
D.
We're the same. So D, last place.
Let me do it, because you'll convolute this.
That's her.
D is last place. Third place is A. Second place is B. First place is C.
I'm convoluting it, and now you're...
Yeah, because I'm not giving any color commentary. I'm just giving them what they want to hear.
All right, so now you know our why. We ranked them the way we did.
Yes.
And by the way, off screen, Justin over here is doing the same flight as we were. And his rankings are very similar, but not quite. D was his last place. C was his first place. He just swapped A and B. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and find out what D is, our last place.
Okay.
And this is Weller Antique 107.
Oh, okay.
It's just a standard on-the-shelf batched product, which that kind of drifts over time, but... It, to me, was the most pedestrian of all the pours.
Yeah, it was thin, not much flavor, not much smell. I will say the finish lasted. It drank higher than 107 proof to me from, just the feeling. Mm-hmm. But that was it. That was the only thing that was kind of outstanding was the finish. Mm-hmm. But it didn't taste like much.
I liked it. You said you wouldn't have another pour of it.
I wouldn't.
I liked it just fine, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get it.
Yeah.
And truthfully speaking, it should be a $65 bottle in our market in Nashville, Tennessee. However, on secondary, it sits around $100. And a lot of people have commented when this has been on the channel in the past that it's like $150 or $200 in your market in stores.
Okay.
You can get it on secondary for $100. So I would just do that if you really want a bottle. But yeah, to me, that it's good. Okay. It's good to have a bottle around, but not super impressive. Third place, glass A,
I'm interested to see
was the Old Rip Van Winkle 10-year. Wow. So, Old Rip 10. Wow. That was good. It did have that spice. It had a great finish on it, but ultimately
it was just a little brighter than I wanted. That's the only reason why it's in third place is because it was just a little brighter than I wanted.
I will say on the break, I came back to it, and to me, I'm getting like this maple syrup thing on the nose.
Okay.
And it doesn't quite translate to the palate because if it did, it might be my first place. But
yeah, it's a little too bright for me.
Yeah, it's kind of bright on the palate, bright spice, sweet tarty, you know? All right. Yeah. Glass B is in
I'm nervous.
Second place for the both of us, and this is
Pappy 15. I saw it.
This is the Pappy Van Winkle 15-year. Wow. Wow. Getting second place, which means first place in this flight, is glass C.
A store pick that we can't get again.
A store pick we can't get again, and we killed it for this.
What was the store?
Natural Daily Spirits, our local store. Man,
they did a good pick. They did a great pick.
So here's the thing. People talk about all the time Weller Antique 107 barrel picks being on par with Old Rip Van Winkle 10 and Pappy 15.
I would concur.
Well, granted.
The store picks.
Yes, granted.
Barrel picks.
Natural Daily Spirits does really good picks.
They do.
We would love, I'm going to go in. We are on the Buffalo Trace Single Barrel Select points program.
Oh.
And I might go in and change my first place. Right now it's Stag, but I might change it to Weller Antique 107 because that's
the barrel picks.
Yeah, that's really good. Wow.
I will say that just goes to show that it is worth trying store picks if you know like the palate at the store that's picking the picks, because we know the owner's palate of this store, and he normally picks balanced, rich, picks that we align with,
sweet on the front end.
That makes sense.
Finish.
Why we like this one.
Yeah.
So
wow, I'm stunned. If I had to guess, and I wasn't trying to guess, but I would have figured that D was Weller Antique. I would have thought that A, Old Rip, was actually the pick. I would have thought that C was Old Rip, and I did think this was Pappy 15. It had the most oak.
Okay.
But when you start weighing it against the other pours in the bunch, it just lacked a little sweetness.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, when things spend 15 years in the oak, that can happen.
That makes sense.
And it would have been easy for me to think this was Pappy 15 and put it first. But truthfully speaking, today I rather would have had another glass of this. And these are the last glasses of this that we will ever have, unless I'm able to score another bottle of this on secondary locally, which I will be trying to do after we finish recording. But yeah, wow, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
The same whiskey.
It's fun.
Real quick, I want to talk about value.
Okay. Again,
Weller Antique 107 should be $65 in our market. That ballpark in most markets often gets marked up to $100 to $200. Weller Antique 107 store picks often get marked up to $100 to $120 or so, and on secondary they can go for $150 to $300. Old Rip Van Winkle is a bottle that should be $80, but it often gets marked up to $600 or more.
Dang, Gina.
And then Pappy Van Winkle 15 should be $120 or so, I think, these days. And it often gets marked up to like $1,500 or more.
Yeah, that I did know already.
So
that's unfortunate.
From a value standpoint, not only did the Weller Antique 107 store pick win this flight, but
wins the value.
I think it
award.
also wins the value. Yeah. Super fun.
Blue ribbon pour right there.
Yep. And it was first place for Justin over here as well. Awesome flight.
Yeah.
Tons of fun.
A lot of fun.
What did we learn here today? I think
that whiskey is subjective.
Whiskey is subjective. Also, again, these are all the same recipe. There's a wide margin of flavor spectrums here. Like a lot of the same flavors exist in all these glasses, but the way in which they're presented is quite different.
Yes.
And, if you're looking at it from like a slider, like an equalizer, like different flavors are up and other flavors are down. I think really the age shows through here the most.
Okay.
In that the youngest pour in the bunch kind of came across flat and sour.
Oh, interesting.
The oldest pour in the bunch kind of came across a little bit like an old golden retriever that just wants to lay in the sun by the door.
I love golden retrievers.
But he's not as he's a good dog, but he's not as playful as he once was. And that's what these
I like
two...
a lazy dog. I'm not going to lie. I'm a fan of a good old lazy dog.
All right, this is a ton of fun. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, like the video, think about subscribing to the channel because blind tastings are what we do over here all the time. And hit that bell. It'll let you know when we're going live. We do fun flights like this all the time on our live streams.
We do.
Also, if you're a good person who likes good whiskey, then you should check out our Patreon. If you're a bad person and you like bad whiskey, I don't know why you're watching this. Go away. But if you're a good person who likes good whiskey, definitely check out our Patreon.
Okay,
you can get plugged into our Discord over there.
That was...
Hard sell.
Yeah. All right. Here we are.
You can get plugged into our Patreon. Awesome people.
Yeah.
I mean, people are sharing samples and swapping bottles and helping people find things.
Popping bottles, if you will.
Popping bottles, yeah. Yeah. There's that over there. We also release our barrel picks, and I'm going to move 107 up the list in our barrel pick ranking for Buffalo Trace.
I think we should.
Yeah, so that's going to happen. Check it out if you want to. And if you want cool shirts like this one right here, a little Dark Side of the Moon inspired, then check out stuffandwhiskey.com. We've got glassware, we've got giftware and gift accessories and things and such.
Just go check it out.
Yeah, check that out.
Yep. All right. That's it for today. Be good to each other, y'all. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers. Cool.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dude, I'm stunned.
I'm keeping this guy. Y'all can have
I need
this.
to.
Stunned. I'm officially depressed. That Weller, that store pick smoked
It was
the other two.
so good.
It was so much better.
That's why
I was for sure. I was like, okay, I'm redeemed on this flight because
that's a Pappy.
The Pappy 15 is going to smoke everything. It's going to be my easy number one.
It was also good. It was my second
but
place.
it wasn't C. It wasn't.
It wasn't C. You're right.
The shocker for me is the store pick beating Old Rip.
And it wasn't close.
No.
I didn't think
It wasn't.
close.
That pick is
I
nuts.
thought they had an easy 1 and an easy 4.
Yeah, that pick was really good.
Man.
ISO, National Daily Spirits.
That's
Antique
insane.
107 pick. If the
You know
Thunder...
what's insane is the same bottle can be so good and so bad.
But
Not
when
bad, but,
when the video releases, you should tell Sam.
Yeah, I'll send the video, Sam. If the Thunder don't get you, the Lightning will. Man.
It's good.
National Daily.
It's a good pick.
But think about that. The same exact bottle.
Oh my gosh, Joshua.
Well, there's nothing left.
Are we hooligans?